about you?
I'm very well, thank you. Hello there, this is Bill Miranda, and this is my lovely and very talented co-host, Nancy Angel.
Welcome to our Valley, Santa Clarita. Today we have an important guest.
Yes, we do. We're going to talk about government, and who better to have sharing secrets and stories about government than our own congressman.
Our own congressman.
Congressman Steve Knight will be our guest today. So before we get to Congressman Steve Knight, let's talk a little bit about government. You know,
Are you going to school me again, Bill?
it's not that I'm going to school you, but
Okay.
I'm going to ask the question,
Ask.
how much do young people today know about our government and how it works?
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you on that one. I took the Constitution test when I was in 8th grade. They taught us U.S. history. I got an A-. I think I know pretty much average, but it's unfortunate because in high school you really don't learn that much about it.
Well, you either don't learn that much about it or it's hard to remember everything.
Yeah, definitely. So you're going to school me on the next
Well,
segment, right?
Well, I don't know that I'm going to school you because, you
Okay.
know, I played basketball in the parks in the ghetto, and schooling has a kind of a different connotation. But yes, I'm going to educate you, my dear.
Great.
So we're going to take a short break. When we come back, government. Clear.
911, what's your emergency?
My neighbor's dog is barking way too loud.
There's a car that's been parked outside of my house for 3 days.
Yeah, do you guys have the number to the courthouse?
Yeah, my cat is stuck in a tree. Can you send someone to help, please?
Every year, an estimated 240 million calls are made to 911. Most are non-emergencies. Don't dial 911 if you are not having a life or death emergency. 911 is there for emergencies. Make sure it's there for others.
Am I gonna make rent this month?
How long can I afford to stay here?
Where will the money come from?
The bills are piling up. Something's gotta give.
You may have more options than you think. Discover the Los Angeles County Housing Resource Center. It's a free resource for residents and landlords. Visit us online at housing.lacounty.gov to learn how we can all be at home in the Los Angeles County.
The City of Santa Clarita is offering underwater hockey at the Aquatic Center to residents of all ages. No registration is necessary, and those interested in participating can simply show up at the Aquatic Center on Wednesday nights, where games are played from 7:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. The Aquatic Center provides all of the necessary equipment for the games, which are held in the 50-meter pool. The cost is only $3 for use of the equipment and facilities.
When someone abducts a child, they're not about to advertise it. But we will. Sign up at wirelessamberAlerts.org to get free Amber Alert text messages on your cell phone. Wireless Amber Alerts. A child is calling for help.
Welcome back to our Valley, Santa Clarita. In case you just missed us, we are going to be talking about government today, and Bill is going to be giving me a little one-on-one of what I missed when I took my government class back in 8th grade.
Well, I don't know what you missed when you took the government class, but you know, government, whether it's community government, county government, state government, or federal government, is a very complex area.
It is.
And so in the interest of time, I'm just going to stay with the federal side. And so I'm going to talk about our federal government. Our federal government is made up of 3 houses. There's the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. Those are the 3 houses, all right? So the legislative, which we call Congress. Very good. Is made up of 2 houses.
Yes.
The House of Representatives.
And the Senate.
And she's on fire.
I'm on fire. Kudos.
You're on fire. Okay. The House of Representatives and the Senate. Congress is responsible for proposing the laws. So all the laws of the land, all the federal laws of the land are proposed first by Congress. So Congress has to create the laws, they have to vote on the laws, and the vote has to pass. Then they take that bill, they call it a bill.
Like Bill Miranda?
Kind of like that.
Okay.
They call it a bill, and then they take it to the president and they say, sign here.
Sign it.
So the executive has the power to sign or reject the bill. The executive is what we call the president.
President.
All right? So Congress passes the bill, then sends it to the president, who either signs it and makes it law
Or veto.
or vetoes it. You're on fire. Or vetoes it, right?
Yes, correct.
If he vetoes it, goes back to Congress, and maybe they repass it, maybe they don't, we don't know. But if he signs it, it becomes a law.
Yes.
So you ask the question, that's all well and good, but where does the judiciary come in?
Yes.
The judiciary, which is also known as the Supreme Court, then looks at every bill, every law, to make sure that it has strict adherence to the Constitution.
Yes.
So if a law does not have strict adherence to the Constitution, the Supreme Court says, not a law.
Not a law.
And then they have to go back to the drawing board and start everything all over again.
So it's kind of like a check and balances type of thing. They each keep each other in check. That's why the three of them, they're so important to have in our nation, because no one has more power than the other one. So it's kind of like checks and balances.
It is exactly checks and balances. You're going to get an A in this course.
Thank you.
It is exactly checks and balances, and all three houses have equal power.
Right.
You know, in many countries, the president is the power.
Right.
In a few countries, not too many, the Congress is the power. And I can't think of more than a very small handful of countries where the judiciary is the power. Iran and the Ayatollahs are probably a good example of that. So in this country, everybody shares the power. And the power is in the hands of the people, because every office, every congressional district, there are 435 of them, by the way.
Right, and Steve Knight is one of those 435.
That is correct. And the Senate has 100 senators, 2 for every state. So 435 and 100 is 535 people are responsible for representing 330 million Americans.
I think that it's very important for us to kind of have these open discussions, because I've exercised my voting rights since I was about 18 years old, where it's the legal age for you to vote. And you usually get swayed by people to vote for a certain congressman or a certain president and stuff like that. But it's important for you to know more about your government, more about these policies, more of what our government stands for. So whenever you do decide to vote, you know exactly what you stand for. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And what we all as citizens need to do is spend a little bit of time doing a little bit of homework.
Right.
To know and understand the candidates, so that we can vote because if we don't vote, it's end game, you're not involved.
Right.
But if you vote intelligently, do some homework, and then you'll elect someone who you feel very strongly will represent you.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited, because when we come back from the break, Congressman Steve Knight.
That's right.
Megan? You're a tramp. Ryan Fitch told me you guys made out. Everybody knows. He says that you're the most desperate girl he knows, besides your mom. How many boyfriends does she have anyway? Lots? That zit is huge. Zit face. Ugly.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Have you been a dad today?
Welcome back. I'm very honored to be here with our special guest today, Congressman Steve Knight. We talked about government in the prior segment, and Steve is a congressman. He is a member of the House of Representatives here representing Santa Clarita and the Antelope Valley and Simi Valley. And as I mentioned in the last segment, typically a congressional district might have around 700,000 inhabitants or so.
Yeah. Well, Bill, thanks for having me first. But you're right. Yeah, about 720,000, somewhere in there, depending on, as you get closer to the census, so you've been in this for 10 years, typically districts will get more folks and you'll have more toward the end. But I have a great district. Santa Clarita and Simi and Antelope Valleys are three of the places I love in Southern California, and it's a great honor. It really is.
And it's an honor to have you representing us.
Thank you.
Now, Steve, I would like the viewers to learn more about who you are and your upbringing, and can you tell us that story?
Yeah, so it's, I had a great childhood, I really did. I had an extremely good set of parents that were loving and helped me through. And then when I was 10 years old, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and I watched her pass away when I was 11 years old. So that's probably the most traumatic thing that will ever happen to a child. But I had a great father, and he raised me from there, and we moved from Ohio to California to Ohio again, and then back to California. That seemed like the only two places I ever lived. But great childhood, and went to school out on base at Edwards Air Force Base with a lot of other military kids, and it's kind of like its own little city out there. Everybody knows everyone, and it's just one of those special places. Ended up graduating high school in Palmdale. My father retired when I was going into my junior year, and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to run for junior class president."
Oh.
And so I said, if I win, I'll stay at Desert. If I lose, I'll go to Palmdale. I lost by one vote to a very attractive young lady, and learned a lesson in elections. You got to work, and you got to be out there doing what you got to do, even in a junior class president.
Right.
And she outworked me. So ended up going to Palmdale, graduating, and was a little rudderless, so I enlisted in the Army and did my...
Now, let me interrupt you a second. You kind of skipped very quickly over the fact that your father was in Ohio for a reason and was at Edwards for a reason. Could you inform our viewers what that reason was?
Yeah, so my father was in the test community. He graduated from the test pilot school and became a test pilot, and over a 32-year career, he tested about 75 different airplanes, flew 110 different airplanes, and in the 60s, he set the absolute world airspeed record in the X-15. Still stands today. It's a 48-year-old world record.
Fastest flight ever.
Fastest flight, 4,520 miles an hour. It was an interesting childhood because he became a celebrity overnight, and got to meet a lot of people. And of course, he went to the White House with President Johnson, and it was very, very interesting growing up with my dad. Never a dull moment.
Now, a lot of people don't know your dad, as he's arguably not as famous as the famous Chuck Yeager. Did you know Chuck Yeager? Did your dad know Chuck Yeager?
Yeah, so they flew together a lot. The test community is a tight-knit community, it really is. And really the test community from the 50s and 60s is a very tight-knit community. And so they flew together many, many times. I've met General Yeager several times. I've met a lot of the pilots that you read in The Right Stuff and in those types of arenas. And most of them, if not all of them, are just humble people that did a amazing feat or many amazing feats, and sometimes you have to draw it out of them, to get a conversation out of them. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me how it was? What were you thinking? How were you feeling? But it was, it's much like the military community, a lot of humble, just good people doing their job and doing it and excelling.
So you went into the military.
I did. So I went into the Army. I was a track systems mechanic. I worked on, Bradley fighting vehicles and armored personnel carriers and things like that. And really loved it. I was stationed in Germany, beautiful country, great people. It was a great experience. You know, when you go to Germany as a 19-year-old, and it's a different culture than it is here in America. Obviously, you can drink earlier, so you could go to a bar when you're 19. That was
the beer's a little more robust.
That's true. But I loved my time over there. I was stationed at Ray Barracks, where Elvis was stationed, so that was kind of our claim to fame. And you know, we would do what typical 19 and 20 and 21-year-old young military GIs would do. We'd play hard, we'd work hard, and we'd had a lot of fun. When I came home, when I was discharged and I came home, I met my wife Lily the first day I came home. And I think I told my father, you know, Dad, I've been living in Germany for the last couple of years, and I've been dating German women, and I think I want to date an American girl. And I met Lily, my wife from Chile, the very first day. Within a couple hours of me coming home, saw her walking down the street, and I thought, well, I'm going to change my mind. And I went out and introduced myself, and we started dating a couple weeks later, and the rest is history.
And you're blessed.
I am very blessed. She is.
When we come back, we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to talk to the congressman regarding some of the bills that are going on in Washington right now, and some of the things that he's doing in his job as congressman representing us.
I think it breaks a little to the left.
To the right.
Nope, straight.
Get up and play an hour a day.
The Donut Inn on Soledad Canyon Road has a new name, California Bakery and Cafe. You still get the donuts, hot chocolate and fresh squeezed juices, the sandwiches, croissants, and our famous tamales. But you'll also get cakes for parties, celebrations, and major events. Our unique bread baskets offer a one-of-a-kind gift, all with the personal service you have come to expect for the last 35 years. Get a cup of coffee and a Danish 24 hours a day. California Bakery and Cafe. A lot has changed since 1887, but in Santa Clarita, one thing has remained the same. For more than 125 years, the Saugus Cafe has served up fresh potatoes, homemade gravy, delicious hollandaise sauce, and the best chili in town. We're family owned and operated, and here you'll be treated like family too. Come in for dinner, where 3-course meals start under $11. While you're here, enjoy a cold beer or a classic cocktail from our bar. Come enjoy the nostalgia, great food, and the camaraderie. The Saugus Cafe. It only gets better with age.
I'm here with Congressman Steve Knight. And Steve, tell us about, you got elected to Congress last November, and of course you've had a journey adapting to your
6-month journey so far.
Yeah, 6-month journey. Now, you're not without a lot of experience in politics, because you were in the state assembly, and before that, and after that, you were in the state senate. So you're not a stranger to politics. You know the game, you know government, and you know that game. How about to Washington?
Well, it's quite a bit different. You know, you would think, coming from a legislature as big as California is, and you know, the 8th biggest economy, and a full-time legislature, you would transition very easily. But it's quite a bit different in Washington. You know, in Sacramento, you kind of had the ability to get an idea and run with it. You could run with that for months and months. And you know, my very first bill here had to do with small business, and when we authored it, everyone loved it. Republicans came forward, Democrats came forward, everybody said this is a great idea, a good job. And within about a week, it was taken from me. I guess that's bad terminology, but it was put into a bigger bill of other ideas and my idea. And that, you know, makes you a little apprehensive when everybody likes your idea. You don't want to be stuffed with something else that you don't know if they like that or not. And but it's been moving forward, and I've learned a lot that you know, it's always about relationships. It's always about making sure that making sure that people understand your message, what you're trying to do. And DC is just a bigger fishbowl. A lot of folks out there have ideas. A lot of folks out there think that their way is the best way, and it just takes a little bit more time to work through the relationships. But I enjoy it, and I think that's one of my favorite parts is walking people down the road and saying this is why this is good, and then getting a resolve and getting a correction or a fix or something to the end. That's why you should be in this job, is to make it better.
And to make a difference.
And to make a difference, yeah. Absolutely.
So right now, Congress is debating a lot of issues. The Supreme Court just a week or two ago came out with some decision, a decision on Obamacare, a decision on gay marriage. I don't want to go there, pro or con, but where I want to go with this is, how do you balance, you represent almost 750,000 people, and you have districts that are similar but different at the same time.
Sure.
Simi Valley, Santa Clarita Valley, Antelope Valley. How do you balance?
Well, you know, I think I have the advantage of having a great district that has an awful lot of diversity. It is close in registration, Republican and Democrat. And so you can't just go in there like a bull in a china shop and say, you know, whatever I say is okay because I have such a district that's highly Republican or this or that. You have to go in and make sure that everyone knows you're their congressman. And that's a big benefit to me. You know, the Supreme Court is always going to come out with controversial decisions. And whether I like it or not, I try and keep my personal opinions low.
Right.
Not that I don't have personal opinions, but you know, the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court, and when they make a decision, we honor that. That is part of our 3 branches of government, and we honor that. And so it's, you know, I try and represent the district. If the district says this is what we believe in, and that's how we represent.
Mm-hmm. Now, you have offices in all 3 locations.
Yes.
What do those offices provide for us? How can us citizens utilize those offices when needed?
So a couple things. First, I do this to many of the groups I talk to. I used to say I did it to every group, but I do it to many of the groups. So my personal cell phone is 661-450-7422. And you already have it, Bill, but that's for your listening audience. So if you have an issue that you're banging your head against the wall and you don't think you're getting any resolve, then you can call me directly. Now, best thing to do is to text me. I'm a better texter than I am a call returner. But outside of that, our offices are there to help on federal issues and to help on community issues. So it doesn't just mean IRS, INS, VA, all of the federal issues you might have a problem with, but it might be community issues. Remember, I have an awful lot of relationships, and I've worked in the city council and at the state level, and so when you ask me something, I might already have some knowledge about that,
right,
whether it's a federal issue or not, and I might be able to get you to the right person or help you out right there, and that's a resource, and we want to be that resource. My biggest complaint is when people call me and say, you know, for the last 4 weeks I've been working on this and it's just killing me. And I say, well, why didn't you call us?
Yeah.
We should be one of your first calls. It's a government issue. We're a government agency. Call us.
And you're here to serve.
And we're here to serve. We're here to make it better. You know, I think that's why you should be in this position, whether you're on a school board or Congress or wherever. Make it better.
You are, without a doubt, in my opinion, and again, I'm not trying to be political here, but you are as near perfect, you have as near perfect a background for what we need in Congress as you can have. As you say, you've been at the community level, you've been at the state level, you've been at both houses of the state. You know people throughout your district, and you can help people by, if you can do it yourself, or for one phone call or one text, or you can point them in the right direction, and that's powerful.
Well, I appreciate that, Bill. You know, we try and do our best. We make mistakes, when we try and fix those mistakes and move on and do our reach out, and We want to talk to as many people as we can in the business community, in the veterans community, and everywhere that we can to make sure that they know. Call us.
Thank you. We want to help you get that message out, and the next time you come visit us, bring Lily.
I will.
Okay. Thank you. After a short break, we'll be right back.
The magical thing about using energy wisely is that anyone can do it. Use energy-saving light bulbs, energy smart power strips, and turn off computers and game systems when not in use. Get together and make a difference. Learn what you can do at energy.gov/tink.
Santa Clarita is Southern California's entertainment destination. Just minutes from LA, Santa Clarita's year-round weather means you can enjoy year-round fun. Like thrilling coasters and water parks, premium shopping, destination day spas, fine dining, outdoor adventure, and major events such as wine festivals, golf tournaments, and the Cowboy Festival. Santa Clarita, always in season.
You promised me the world. Is this what you had in mind?
Every choice we make has a consequence. Help EarthShare and its members restore balance to the world. Visit earthshare.org and see what you can do. EarthShare, one environment, one simple way to care for it.
Hello, I'm Mayor Bob Keller, and you're watching SCV TV, local television for Santa Clarita.
Welcome back. Oh my goodness. Steve Knight, is he incredible or what?
He was here with us today. I still can't believe it.
Absolutely. You know, what I liked about the interview was we finally got Steve to tell a little bit about himself. Steve has a fantastic story. He grew up with a father who was a celebrity throughout the military world, throughout the aerospace world. I mean, his father today, 48 years later, holds the world speed record, over 4,000 miles per hour. I'm an ex-Air Force man. I'm an ex-Air Force flyer. So to me, William Pete Knight was like a god. And so Steve finally, yeah,
right?
Steve finally got to talk about that.
Definitely.
And also, I love the fact that Steve talked about going to Europe, going into the military, serving in Germany. What he didn't mention, he came back, he became a policeman.
Oh, did he really?
He was an LAPD policeman and served very honorably and very well before he went into politics.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you, Steve, for being on our show. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, viewers, for viewing our show. And what we try to do with our show is we try to tell inspiring stories, educational stories, and motivational stories. And I think with Steve Knight, we got a little bit of each.
Very well-rounded.
Yeah, very well-rounded. So please tune in next week. We're going to talk about traveling. We're going to talk about safely traveling throughout the country. You know, you go up north
all the time
to Turlock. I'm going to school you on that.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and if you have any suggestions for us, please visit www.ourvalleysantaclarita.com.
Where mi casa es
Su casa.
Bye-bye.